Hello and welcome to ConTinual, the convention that never ends. My name is Jean Marie Ward and I'm your host tonight for Hot Off the Press, the latest releases from the authors you want to read. And to start us off, I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves, starting with Frank.
Hi, my name is Frank W. Butterfield. I'm a writer of gay mystery, romance, and adventure. And as always, I'm glad to be here with all these other wonderful people.
Yeah, we got a great group here today. Jessica?
I'm Jessica Nettles. I'm the author of The Children of Menlo Park, and I'm just tickled pink to be with all these folks too.
Okay, great. Kyoko?
Hi, my name is Kyoko M. I'm an urban fantasy and science fiction writer. My first series is the Black Parade series, and the current series I'm writing is called Of Cinder and Bone. Very glad to be here with these talented people as well.
Great. Amy?
I'm Amy Lane, and I write gay romance, gay action, gay adventure, also romantic suspense, and I'm kind of a subgenre slut, we can say that one right.
What is fun?
Excellent. And I really am excited to be here. I miss doing cons in person. So it's like, new people.
I know how you feel. Aaron?
Hi, I'm Aaron Rosenberg. I am a novelist, children's book author, and game designer. I've done about 40 some odd novels. Half of them are tie-ins for properties like Star Trek and World of Warcraft. Half of them are original novels. I write fantasy, science fiction, mystery, thriller, action adventure, comedy, Western, a mix.
Okay, cool. Sam?
Like most everyone else, I write a pretty wide mix of things. Mostly it's fantasy, a lot of romance, a little bit of sci-fi, one Western, which was a weird experience. But yeah, just about everything across the spectrum.
Great. Kat?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Kat Richardson. I write a little bit of everything. I started out writing urban fantasy when they first started using the label, although I always tell people I write cross-genre mysteries because almost everything I write has a mystery structure or some big mystery element. I wrote 9 books in the Grey Walker Paranormal Detective series. Then I switched pseudonyms and wrote a big science fiction police procedural called Blood Orbit that won the Endeavor Award in 2019. And I've got some other stuff out there, but I'm pretty much, if it's fantasy, science fiction, mystery, or some cross of those, I'm sticking my oar in.
Okay.
I love the Grey Walker series.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, thank you.
It was good. I hadn't even heard about your sci-fi series or sci-fi novel. I apologize. Could you tell us a little bit about the book that brings you here today?
You want to start with me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's called Through the Gray. It's a collection of my short stories. And I'd been thinking about it for quite a while. And finally, the last couple that were still under contract came back to me. And I said, oh, well, John's been asking me if I've got anything. So I dropped a note to John Hartness at Falstaff Books, and he said, let me take a look at that. So I sent him 15 short stories, or 13 short stories and 2 novellas. And he read everything, picked out 10, put together a collection. And it's a little bit of everything. It's got a couple of things that had never been published before. So they're brand new, and some Grey Walker stuff, and then straight crime, some science fiction, some mystery, some straight up fantasy, some satire, something that might or might not be magical realism. There's a little bit of all of my weirdness in there, so I'm really excited about it. It was also really fun working with John and the Falstaff crew, so yay!
Cool, very cool. Aaron, what about you? What's your current release? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
I've actually got 2. They both came out within the past 2 to 3 weeks.
Great.
They're both part of different series. So the first one is called Focal Point. And I don't know if it's backwards for you, it's backwards for me, but
No, it's right.
It's part of the occult thriller series that I write with David Neal Wilson. I like to describe it as Mission Impossible meets the X-Files with a bit of supernatural thrown in. This one's an occult / conspiracy thriller that takes place in Western Europe. And the other one is actually from Falstaff Books. And I don't have copies of that one, but this is the first book in the series, The Reliquant Chronicles. The book that just came out is book number 4, which is Bones at Rest. I describe that one as Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon meets Game of Thrones, where the only magic left is ancestor worship done as ritualized cannibalism.
Okay, now that could be pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jessica, there are spirits in your work, I believe. Could you
There are
tell
many spirits in my book.
tell us
My
about
book
it.
is The Children of Menlo Park. It's the Wild Wild West basically meets League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That's the way John described it, and I think it's probably perfect the way he did that. We have a ghost detective and her partner, who's also a supernatural creature. We're still learning about him. And there are magical children and cosmic horrors and Nikola Tesla and Mark Twain, which very interesting too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Frank.
I released a book today. It's actually an anthology that I'm going to show you the picture of. If I can get this, it's not going to work. Called Cupid Shot Me. And it is 11 short stories of mysteries set around Valentine's Day. And our introduction was by Michael Nava. This has been a dream come true. If you don't know who Michael Nava is, he's kind of the grandfather of all us gay mystery writers. Mark Zubro also was a contributor, and he, between Mark and Michael, they're my two of my primary inspirations for what I do. JB Sanders, another person who inspired me, is also involved in this. Meg Perry was my co-editor, and she's amazing. Her Jamie Brody series, which is all librarians should read these books because she's a librarian and she writes about librarians solving crimes. It's really awesome. And lots of other people, Marco Riamonte, Greg Heron. I'm trying to remember everybody's name and I'm going to forget them all, but it's been amazing. And I got to edit, and if anybody has ever read my stuff, you should be going, you were the editor. But it was a lot of fun working with these guys and a lot of fun pulling it together. And it's the first of what I hope to be several ongoing anthologies that are all holiday centered. The next one will probably be in July.
Okay.
So very exciting. And it released today. Hooray.
Okay. The July one, is that going to be 4th of July or Christmas?
It'll be it's not Hallmark. So it'll be 4th of July, Canada Day, Bastille Day, at the beach, Murder Takes a Holiday, that kind of thing.
Sorry.
Well, that's a good question, though. I was like, wait, Christmas? And I'm like, oh, Hallmark, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Kyoko.
So the book bringing me to you today is actually the one in my background. It's called Of Claws and Inferno. It's book 5 in my current science fiction dragon hunting series. It will be releasing April 22nd, which is a funny story because I was going to take a year off. Like I didn't publish a novel last year, and I was like, okay, well, I'll give myself an entire calendar year to write this book, and then I'll publish it in fall of 2022. And then I start writing it, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And so I knocked it all out in 8 months. And I was like, all right, well, I guess it's going to come out in spring of 2022 because I finished it so much faster than I thought I was going to. So, and the other thing I want to mention is it's really neat that you guys are with Falstaff. I actually just signed with Falstaff to do a trilogy.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I mean literally just signed. I mean the paperwork went through a week ago, and so that'll be in a future episode. But the series that he's having me do is new for me because this one will be actual space travel, like aliens and leaving the planet Earth. I pitched it to him as Titan AE meets Ender's Game. So,
oh, wonderful!
Cool. Very cool, very cool. Sam, and you can take off your mute now.
I actually remembered this time, which is kind of shocking, but I've got a couple of things coming out, but probably the big one is the fourth book in my Fantastic Fluke series is coming out at the end of this month. That's generally the one that people are asking about. So it's the first thing I bring up. It's the fourth out of five. Fifth one, theoretically, is also going to be out later this year. So it is, let me see if I can get this to work at all. No, that doesn't really.
It's very small. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fluke.
Oh, well.
It
Yep.
said Fluke. Okay.
Yes. It's modern urban fantasy. Although this one's actually partially set in the Old West, which is a little weird, but time travel. So.
Okay. Amy.
Okay, I am dead center between two new releases.
Okay. Tell us about both.
The first one is, this is not it, but it's the sequel. This is the third book of my Head Witches book, my Head Witches Lonely Hearts Club series. And the new one is titled Heartbeats in a Haunted House.
Okay.
And the series itself, and there's only 4 books, and it's us hedge witches get together and have kind of a boozy pity party, and they cast a spell that goes terribly, terribly wrong. And everything in their neighborhood starts going weird, and their magic starts going weird. Birds start flying upside down, squirrels start marching in infinity chains, and 2 of the members of their household, 2 of the members of their coven, which is a cul-de-sac, right? They all meet together and have meetings and eat and feed each other. And 2 of their members who have been very much in love, but have not been together. They room together, they go on vacations together, but they date other people, and everyone's like, why are you dating someone else when we know you've been in love with us, with your roommate for 7 years? They disappear. And for 3 books, the focus as the other couples get together is getting these 2 guys out. Heartbeats in the Haunted House is what's going on with the 2 guys who are wandering in the house and cannot see each other, and only appear in little starts and bursts to the rest of the coven when they come to visit. And it's the kind of the climax of the series. And it's, the series itself is about moving on from that place in early adulthood, right? Where you get out of college and you think you've started, and then you're like, but I'm stuck here. I want to move forward. And it's all about moving into that further place in adulthood. And it's about being honest with yourself. And it's about being honest with the things that make you powerful. So your magic, being honest with your magic. That's where the spell goes wrong at the beginning of the 4 books, when they're all supposed to name their heart's desire, and they all lie. They all say the thing that they're expected to say, and they don't say the thing they really want. And that's where we as adults get stuck. So that's the Hedge Witches Lonely Hearts Club. And the 4th book is Heartbeats in a Haunted House. And that was out 2 weeks ago. And the other one is the 3rd book in this series. This is the Long Con series. And it's like gay leverage. Did you guys all see the leverage? Yeah.
And they've got a new one called Leverage Redemption. Yes.
Yes, I've seen that one too. Love that series. Love it. Rewatched it. That was my first Current Troubles shotgun on Netflix, was Leverage. And this is gay leverage. And it starts out with the mastermind and 2 lovers who they were on the grift in Paris, and they thought they were going to dupe a rather monstrous millionaire and his spoiled daughter. Turned out his spoiled daughter was living in fear of her life, and she was pregnant. So they enacted a 10-year con. One of them married her and eloped and got her out of the house. And the other one honed all his thieving skills, breaking in to see his lover. And that was the Uber story. They meet after a 10-year separation, and there was the mastermind, which was them getting back together, and then the muscle, which is their thief and their bruiser, and then the one that is coming out in 2 weeks is the driver.
Okay, cool, very cool. What was the most surprising thing that you found in writing these two books?
Me?
Yep.
Surprise.
Surprise. I'm like, pick somebody else.
I think that's going to be the pattern here.
Yeah, I know. Mean.
If there was nothing that surprised you in writing the book, that's a valid answer too.
Oh, no, there's always a surprise. I think that the surprising thing in writing the fourth book was how different it had to be from the other three.
Mhm.
Because the end of the third book, we know that they get rescued from the house. We know that they get pulled out of limbo. What we do not know is what's been going on, and what had to happen is the fourth book had to be memory lane. And I knew what I was going to do from the very beginning of the series, which was have them remember the thing, remember their events in their lives, and then remember them wrong, so that this could have been an opportunity for them to get together. So they remembered their first kiss, except that wasn't their first kiss. So one would remember the first kiss at this event, and the other remembered the first kiss at this event. And then they had to trying to figure out where it went wrong, why that wasn't their first kiss, why that wasn't the first time they made love, why they hadn't been together at that moment. And the whole time, as I was writing these false memories and the true ones, I was thinking, am I going to let them keep the false memories? Okay, am I going to let them fix this in the past? How am I going to resolve this? So finding a way to resolve it that didn't make those memories a lie, but that let them learn from them instead, was, I think, the best thing I did in the book. In the third one, the driver, it's funny because there are characters, and you all have written sequels, where you'll have a character and people will go, oh, him, I want to know about him. And you're like, no, seriously, that guy? No. Okay. And the driver, I thought I had put in like a random character. I thought my driver was going to be that guy. Really? Y'all want to hear? And it turned out that he had the loudest voice. He's just a good old, he's munitions and transpo. And he's like a big boned, rangy Texan. And I paired him up with kind of a snooty billionaire. And I was surprised how much fun they had. I thought it was going to be all awkward silences, but no, it was not.
The characters will surprise you every time.
Yes,
Jessica,
Yes.
what surprised you the most about writing Children of Menlo Park?
How big it got and how big my cast was in early drafts. It kind of got out of hand, and so we cut it back quite a bit. But at one point I had 13 children. I think I had like a cast of like it felt like a cast of thousands, and I'm like, oh my God, I seriously, I started with one and they just seemed to multiply. And I had to learn how to pull it back and how to make it, and it made it stronger. It made it stronger. But that was what surprised me the most, is that it just, one, it kept going, and two, that it just kind of exploded with these characters. It was an interesting experience, because up till this point I've written short stories. So you have a small cast in a small area, and now you've got these characters going all over the United States, and there's lots of people. So that's what surprised me the most.
Okay. Cool. Erin, what about the two books that you were showing us surprised you the most when you were writing them?
It's kind of a combination between, what Jessica was saying and what Amy was saying. And I don't know why it surprises me, because it's the sort of thing that happens in most books if they're going well. It was a combination of which characters had the voices that stood out the most, and what directions they went in. Because both of these are books in a series. So both of these had several established characters, and whose voices I already knew, but some of them went in ways I hadn't expected them to go or planned for them to go. They had their own arcs to tell. Some way better than I expected, and some way worse than I expected. And then other characters who wandered into these books, and some of them started out as bit characters and wound up becoming pretty significant members of the story. That's just that's the excitement of it. I mean, you never know what's going to happen with it, and that's where it comes to life for you.
That's true. Kyoko, what about you? What surprised you about this particular volume in your Dragon series?
There were two moments I would say that were very surprising to me. One was when I think the biggest pause I had was when I was approaching the third act of the story, because I had like a general idea of what I wanted to kind of happen. And there was a point where two of the antagonists, who essentially are kind of like brothers to each other, like adopted, they had a confrontation I wasn't expecting. I was kind of like, and it was funny because they're both antagonists. So when they were having this, confrontation, I was like, oh my God, am I feeling things? You guys are supposed to be the bad guys. I'm not supposed to. Oh no, I hurt my own feelings. Like that's the actual words I used when I was done with the scene. I was like, I hurt my own feelings. I'm the writer. I don't understand how that works. But so that was one for me. The other one was the conclusion was another one where, like I said, it was kind of nebulous. I knew the general place where everybody was going to end up at the end, but there were smaller details of like how I didn't know it was going to wrap up. And one of the things that ended up wrapping up, it ended up kind of sealing this little arc that was started in the previous book. And it just I don't know what I was doing. I was lying around and I was like, oh, you know what if I did XYZ? And then when I wrote it, it was like, oh, this sealed up completely perfectly. And it sounds like I did it on purpose and it was totally an accident. So that was really exciting. I think that it'll be very interesting to see, as in particular, my beta readers, I use the term loosely, are actually my mother and my sister-in-law. And so I always send it to them as I'm writing it, because what happens is if I'm ever really, really off about something, or something's missing, or something didn't really go over well in terms of story content, they're always the ones to catch it every time. They both have an impeccable eye for in terms of like character and story and plot, and this didn't add up, or actually I'd like you to go into a little bit more about XYZ. So I'm excited because I think I sent them up to like chapter 15 or 20, somewhere in that range. And the book is finished at 31 chapters. So I can't wait to send it to them, because the conclusion I think is really exciting. And like I said, it was surprising to me what I ended up with in the end being the conclusion to the book. So I can't wait to see what they think about it.
Okay, great. Sam. What
Remember to unmute
surprised
myself this time.
Yeah. What surprised you most about the book? Did it involve a cat?
It did not, surprisingly enough. The cat is always a surprise, but honestly, in this one, it was partially just how hard it was to convince the characters to do what I needed them to. Like,
feel your pain.
Go back in time. This is the crux of the plot, and the main character is just like, this is a terrible idea. Why would I do this? So it was very hard to put him in a position where he needed to do that, instead of just going, okay, well, the plot doesn't work, so do we start over from square one? No, we can find a reason.
The cat undoubtedly would have given a good reason, but the cat wasn't talking. Yes.
The cat mostly just wants a good reason to be petted.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason. Speaking of cats, only spelled slightly differently, cat. A large number of the stories in your new collection were previously published. Were there surprises in putting the collection together?
Oh yeah. And like I said, I sent John 15 and he chose 10.
Right.
And I can understand why he didn't take some of the ones he didn't take. I'm like, well, those are really early and they're pretty rough. He didn't take the Western, and I can kind of understand. I don't think it's a bad piece. I just go, it doesn't fit very well. What was kind of fun was rereading some of them, because a few of them are from the very beginning of my publishing fiction career. And I had sort of forgotten what they were like. And I was able to look at them and read them and go, wow, that was actually really clever. Or, I'd do that differently now. I don't dislike the story, but I would write it differently now. So that was cool. And to see these things that, got hardly any play because they went out in very small collections that weren't well known by, people who weren't well known. And so they just kind of disappeared. And so I thought, isn't it cool to get to see this again myself and see the things that I liked and the things that I thought weren't good and go, no, that's actually not bad at all. And then the two pieces that had never been published before, one I worked on quite a bit initially. So that one wasn't too much of a surprise, although John did edit it quite a bit, which was good because it was a little rough. And the other one had never been seen by anyone before, except my husband. And John and I worked on it pretty hard, and it came together in a very weird way. It's a really strange piece. It's called Single Edged, and it's about two traveling salesmen who meet in a bar in the middle of nowhere. They're both at really depressing turning points in both their personal and professional careers. And they come together in this very strange bar where the jukebox makes commentary on their emotional conditions.
Oh gosh.
And it's weird, and it's very dark comedy, and it's the only time I've written something that has that much satire and dark comedy in it. And we had to work around lyrics and so on. So I think the thing that was surprising was seeing the alchemy of all the stories come together and being able to see how my development as a writer is reflected in all of these stories, and to see that I do actually have a specific voice. There's almost always an ironic terminal twist on everything I write. And there they all were. And I went, wow, you do that a lot, but it's not annoying, at least not to me. I hope it's not annoying to someone else. The other thing that's really interesting is hearing everybody else talk and saying, I've been through that experience of characters who won't do what I want them to do, or of my writer subconscious coming up with a great way to end a plot or to connect a piece that I had written somewhere else to another piece. So it's exciting to hear someone else say, wow, I've had this experience. And for me to say, oh, I did that too. I'm not alone out there in writer land doing strange things and hoping that they work out. So it's been really fun. What I thought was going to be kind of a, yeah, here you go, whatever, and a mechanical process turned into kind of a process of rediscovery, which is always cool.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. Frank, what about you? What was the most surprising thing about the new book?
Well, there's kind of two categories of surprises. One was working with the people I worked with, putting this together. And speaking of lyrics, it really surprised me when one of the authors submitted a story that had the lyrics to a song. And I was like, did we not go to legal class for writers? And he was not happy when I was like, no, we can't do that. I'm not going to throw out the rest of this book so that we can put lyrics in the book and have ASCAP or BMI get on us. That was really surprising. Particularly, this is somebody who works in Hollywood. That was even the most surprising part of it.
Oh my God.
Can I throw something out here? I wonder if that's exactly why. The process for when Hollywood has to go procure permission for a soundtrack is probably so different from us down here where we just beg and mostly they ignore us.
Right.
Because
I think that is what it is, because he's just like, oh, well, Warner's or whoever is they just have some lawyers do
The
something
lawyers
and
deal with it. Yeah.
and boom, you're done. But so that was a little bit surprising. But in terms of the story that I wrote a story that falls in between two books in my contemporary series, and it actually happens between book 1 and 2. So the characters have known each other for 2 weeks and 2 days, and it's their first Valentine's Day, and they both forget that it's Valentine's Day because neither of them have ever celebrated Valentine's with a partner before. And they're one's in his 50s and the other's in his 30s, and so they don't know what to do, and then they by chance meet somebody. And this is the part that was surprising. I mean, what I was mostly concerned with is I wanted to make sure that I didn't have them doing things that they don't know to do yet, because I'm 12 books into this series and this is between book 1 and 2. So there was that part. But And that was fun kind of trying to figure that out. But then the other part was that I really had no idea what the mystery was going to be. So they're going to Miami because for a reason. And on the way to Miami, they stop and have breakfast, and then they meet these guys and they get invited to this party in Fort Lauderdale. And then they go there, and it turns out they kind of already know the people they're going to visit. And then it turns out that there is actually a mystery, but the mystery doesn't show up until the second or the third of the book. And when I went back and I was like, it's the longest story. And I thought, I really shouldn't be the one, since I'm the editor, having the longest story. But I thought, well, I couldn't find anything to cut. And I asked 2 or 3 people to look at it. I'm like, can I take anything out? They're like, no, because each part builds on top of itself to get to the end. And if we hadn't done all the things before, the end doesn't make any sense. That's also surprised me. I don't know why it surprised me, because it happens in every book I write, but it did surprise me more here than it does usually. But yeah, it was. And just one other little thing that I want to put out is that the people that I worked with, to a person, every single author was, with the exception of this little minor nothing burger of the lyrics, every person was absolutely, completely professional. And I just, why I would think it would be anything else. And it didn't really surprise me. It just was very pleasant how easy it was to work with every single author. And it makes me think, like, maybe I should be doing more of this. I mean, more than just having another anthology. But it was a lot of fun. And all these different voices and different perspectives and different ideas of what a mystery is, and just bringing that all together was a delightful surprise.
Oh, cool. Do you write a lot of short stories, or was this an outlier for you?
No, I've written 25 holiday themed short stories that are set in my primary series, the Nick Williams Mysteries, that range from 1845 if you count Ghosts, but 1929 to 2002, or anyway, right before they die, right before the characters die. So, and they didn't go in order. So they, like, the first one was like, it's set in 79, then 86, then 29, then, and I can't remember all the different, and 45. So it kind of went back and forth, and doing that actually helped me do this, being able to insert a short story into a already series long book, where I have to be aware of where are we in relationship to time. And doing that with those 24 stories was itself, like, I highly recommend doing that, by the way. If you really, really want to get to know your characters, it's just drop in randomly into their lives and find out what they're doing, and then have to coordinate it with all the other things you've ever written about them.
Cool. Very cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What do you want readers to take away from the anthology, and your story in it?
Well,
what's
in
the
my
takeaway
story,
you want them to have?
So I have 2 answers to that question. So with my story, it coincidentally is the last story. So I want them to feel delighted and satisfied with the book, with the anthology itself. And since I have the last word, I'm like, I really, really want that to be the case. But as far as the anthology is concerned, what I really want them to take away from it is there are 11 authors, probably 8 or 9 of them that they've never read before, who they have huge, every single person who contributed to this has big libraries. And so there's lots and lots to explore. And this is a jumping off point for new authors that readers have never encountered.
Very cool. Amy, what do you want folks to take away from your 2 books?
Okay. Well, first, I want to piggyback on what Frank said. I call those threading the needle stories, where you want to see what sometimes it's other characters, sometimes it's what these characters are doing at this other point in time, but you're literally threading the plot needle, you're going around in little paths to find out what happened right here. I love those. They're delightful. What do I want people to get? Let's see, from the Hedge Witches, the whole be true to your magic, and the magic will be true to you. For me, that for me, magic is almost always analogous to writing. Being true, being honest with your writing, and the writing will honestly help you out. Don't try to ever make your characters do something you would not do yourself, or something that you find that this is not in their, this isn't in their makeup. Also that the current pleasantness, which is still ongoing. Most of these stories were written there, and that feeling of being stuck that we all had, I think I wanted people to feel like they had the power over that being stuck, because all of the characters in all 4 of the books were in a very stuck place in their lives. That initial hump between, yay, I'm an adult, and wait, I don't want to just stop here. I want to continue on with the life I want, not the life that's kind of thrust on you when you first get out of college. And so I want people to come away from the Hedge Witches book with the idea that they can unstick themselves. They have to be true to the things that are magical to them. With the mastermind and the long con, and this is me. I have been I'm not great with authority. Are any of us here, we're all writers, are any of us great with authority? Yeah, I've seen a lot of no. The wonderful thing about leverage was that, yes, some laws were broken, but nobody was hurt and things were made better. So the thing with the Long Con series is that it's worse to hurt people than it is to break a law, and that use your powers, whether they're thieving or being an enforcer, to help people. Use what you have, and if you have to break a few laws, make sure they're the ones that don't hurt people, to get it done. What's legal and what's moral are not always the same thing.
Yeah. Law is about order. It's not necessarily about justice.
Exactly. I mean, the thing we love the most from leverage, again, was that all these people snuck in and they did these highly illegal and questionable things, and the only people who got hurt were the people who were trying to hurt everybody else. Mm-hmm. And we want justice, we want kindness, we want compassion, we want those things to come back to us. Mm-hmm. So we have to put them out into the world, sometimes not. And again, for those of us who are all writers, I don't know how excited your families were that you all embarked on this career or embarked on this. Some of you, Kyoko, sound like you have a very, very supportive family. Mine are still wondering when I'm going to get a real job. So even if you got to break a few rules, it's still worth it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Jessica, what do you want folks to take away from The Children of Menlo Park?
That it's a rollicking good time. Also, that in the end, magic is kind of a form of love, or maybe love is a form of magic, mm-hmm. and that we can all face our monsters inside and out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Erin, again, 2 books. What do you want folks to take away from those books?
Well, I mean, besides obviously, like Jessica said, rollicking good time, just enjoying the books. Bones at Rest is the 4th out of 5 in the series. So, I want people to take away from that, enjoying spending time with the characters again, feeling sad about some of the characters, excited about other characters, and looking forward to seeing how the story concludes. Focal point is actually book 7 in the series, but the books can be read non-sequentially. So, a little like, what Frank was saying in terms of the anthology, because David and I have these rotating cast of characters and we pick and choose for the different books, just like with Mission Impossible, you assemble the team that's right for the situation. So, I want people to take away from it that these are fun characters. Maybe they got to read some of their favorites again. Maybe they have some new favorites. That hopefully they'll want to check out both the rest of the ones I wrote and the rest of the ones that David wrote in the series, and just see where else they go.
Great. Kat, what about you? What do you want folks to take away from your new collection?
Well, I have to admit, I'm entirely self-serving. I mean, this collection, baldly speaking, was an attempt to keep my name out in front of people after quite a few years of no publication. So, to be terribly blunt, I'm hoping that people will pick it up and go, wow, I never heard of her, or wow, I didn't know she did these other things. Now I'm excited to read other stuff by her. I do have some other stuff out. I've also done a couple of anthologies on each side. They were both standard crime anthologies. One of them come out in May, another one's coming out this next May. And so I'm hoping to build some excitement and have new readers engage, and to have old readers get excited again and look at some of the stuff that I haven't put out before and think, wow, I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to have more of a conversation with my readers that I haven't been able to have in a while. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. It also gives me a chance to engage with writers again, because when you're not actively getting anything out, you kind of feel like, I'm not really a writer anymore. I should go away now.
God, yeah. And it's not true, really. The minute, once you've decided you're going to write, even if you only have one story and you're a writer.
Well, I started out writing, I've written since I was a little kid because my dad was an English teacher, and it sort of, rubbed off. And then I went into editing. I became a magazine editor and did a lot of nonfiction, and then did an anthology with Laura Ann Gilman a few years ago. So little by little, I just moved from one kind of writing into another. And it's a journey. All writing is a journey. And you do it because you feel this compulsion to do it, not because you think you're going to make a lot of money, not because you think it's going to be fun. I mean, initially you do. And after a while you go, wow, this is a lot of work. But I'm hoping that that people come along for the ride, not only with my book, but with everybody's book, because, the more you read, the more you want.
Yeah. And I think I read someplace something to the effect of, writers do not actually want to write. They want to sit around with other writers and talk about writing in a really cool cafe.
I can't remember who it was. He said, I hate writing. I love having written.
Yep, that one too. I totally agree. Sam, what about you? What do you want folks to take away from your new book?
A decent amount of this series, the Fantastic Fluke series, a decent amount of it keeps coming back to, for all of the characters, something that Amy was talking about, that feeling of being stuck in the life you've been handed. And the fact that, you don't have to be stuck there. And it's never too late to stop being stuck there. One of the characters who breaks out of her old existence is the main character's grandmother, who's in her 70s at the time of the first book. So, there's always time to just reach out and grab what you want, instead of letting life continue dragging you around by the nose.
Absolutely. Okay, Kyoko, what do you want folks to take away from the new book?
I think this one deals in a different context of something I wrote a little bit about. So in my urban fantasy series, the second novel is called She Who Fights Monsters. That is based on that Nietzsche quote that most people know. And a lot of it had to do with her making really, really bad decisions in order to try and protect people. So doing something awful to prevent something even worse. And this one, it's really interesting because in that series, it was supernatural completely. So angels, demons, ghosts, all kinds of different magical things were possible. Here, this is a science fiction novel. So there aren't really, and this is one that's very grounded and realistic. So the issue that they're having with the villain is like, okay, well, this guy's not going to leave us alone until he's dead. Well, what do we how can we deal with that? How can we continue to live with, we probably need to gank this guy, but also we're regular people. And, you go to jail for ganking people, even if they deserve it, which this guy certainly does. And it's interesting because it's in both the A plot and the B plot. Both of them are struggling with these two arch nemesis antagonists that they have, and they need to do something about it. But what is going to become of them if they choose to do that? And I think that that's a moral question that a lot of us have to do with in a much, much smaller context of, do you want to become someone cynical? Do you want to become, someone who doesn't care about things in order to get to that place where you want to be? It seems like it's very easy for some people to just become a jerk and not have to worry about morals, not have to worry about working hard and doing the right thing in order to get what it is they want out of life. And so I'm hoping that what they'll take away from it is that everybody does struggle with this at some point for the most part, and trying to be yourself and understand who you are as you're struggling with that decision. It doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you a person.
Okay. Now we're on the last question. Unfortunately, the hour went very, very fast. So I'm going to ask you all to give me the name of your book, where folks can find it, and where they can find you on the web. Now, Kyoko, I'm going to go with you first.
So book 5 coming out April 22nd, 2022 is called Of Claws and Inferno. That is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Kobo, pretty much all the major platforms. And it'll be available in paperback as well. Actually, I'm going to JordanCon, by the way. And that's on the release date, which is hilarious in its own way, because I kind of didn't plan it, but then it happened anyway. So I'll get to celebrate with them that it's coming out that day. And as far as my website, it is shewhowritesmonsters.com. All my stuff is there, including Black Panther Tales of Wakanda, which I wrote a short story for that's based on Okoye. So if you want, it would be lovely for someone to go out and get that, especially since it's Black History Month. So
yes, it is. It indeed is. Thank you. Okay, Frank, the name of the anthology, where folks can get it, and where they can find you on the web.
The name of the anthology is Cupid Shot Me, and you can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo. It's in wide release. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardcover, and you can find me at frankwbutterfield.com, or just search my name, because I'm the only Frank W. Butterfield alive at the moment that I know of. So it's easy to find me.
Okay, Amy, name of the book, name of the 2 books, where folks can find them, and where they can find you on the web.
Well, the one that's out already is Heartbeats in a Haunted House, and you can find it on Amazon and Kobo and Barnes & Nobles and all the major platforms. And the one coming out in 2 weeks is The Driver, and it's the 3rd in a series. That one is also out in mass market paperback, so that can be found in bookstores too.
Great.
I think Heartbeats is also mass market paperback. And you can find me. I do Twitter, but not great. I do Facebook at Amy Lane Anonymous. It's a nice little group. We make each other laugh, and we talk about knitting and animals.
Okay, both wonderful subjects. Jessica, book, where they can find it and where they can find you.
All right, the book is called The Children of Menlo Park. You can find it in paperback, hardback, and on Kindle on Amazon, and paperback and hardback at Barnes & Noble. You can find me on Facebook at Jessica Nettles book. We have a little tiny group right now. We're growing, and I talk about my cats and about crazy things that are happening to me, and it's kind of sort of maybe entertaining. I don't know. I have fun with it. I'm also on Instagram, where you get to see even more pictures of my cats and my knitting. And I'm on Twitter, but I only do that occasionally. Steampunk English without the H. And you can find me in all those places. And I have a website, JessicaNettlesAuthor.com.
Okay, great. Speaking of cats and stuff and critters, Sam, name of the book, where they can find it on, where folks can find it, where they can find you on the web, and the name of your cat.
Name of my cat. The name of my cat is Eris,
Okay.
because she is in fact a disaster.
A goddess of discord.
Yes. The book is Fluke and the Frontier Farce, 4th in the fantastic Fluke series. I actually have that book, the first one, sitting right next to me, and still can't get it to focus because of this background. But it's going to be out on the 24th of this month, and it is available. It's going to be in paperback, hardcover, and ebook, of course. And online, you can find me at burnswrites.com, the easiest place possible.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook occasionally, but I'm really trying to cut back.
I understand. Social media can eat one's life. Anyway, Kat, name of the collection, where folks can find it, and where they can find you on the web.
Well, it's called Through the Gray, and it's being published by Falstaff. So it is available on Amazon, both ebook and print. It should be available in print through Ingram at all bookstores whenever Ingram gets their business straightened out. And of course, it's available on ebook through all the usual platforms, Nook, Kobo, Biblio, and so on. It's also audio through Tantor Media. And I've got to say, I'm thrilled with the audio. The narrator just delights me. So I'm really excited. I am on Facebook, Kat Richardson Writer, and on Twitter as Kat Richardson with no vowels. Someone else got it first, so now I'm Kat Richardson at Twitter. And I do have a website, which is katrichardson.com, which you can also get to through graywalker.com or bloodorbit.com, which is the name of the science fiction novel.
Oh, cool. I'll have to look that up. Okay, Erin, name of the books, where they can be found, and where you can be found on the web.
So the first book is Focal Point. The second book, which again I don't have copies of yet, is Bones at Rest. Both of them are available on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Kobo, Apple, etc. Print, ebook, audios are coming. You can find me at Griffin Rose, GRYPHONROSE.com. You can also find me at crazy8press.com, and you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Griffin Rose.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Thank you all for a really entertaining program. The books all sound fabulous, and I feel like I need more hours to read them all. So hope you all have wonderful, wonderful sales and more books in all of your series. So thank you. And thank you out there for joining us here at ConTinual, the convention that never ends.